I want you to look at the maps that says 9.2, and then I want you to look at the map with today's epicenter, the 6.1, the 5.9, and all the aftershocks. Before I tell you what has happened today with all these earthquakes, I need to tell you something else, because there is a quake warning. I mean, when it comes to Japan, we know that, but catastrophic mega earthquake could hit Japan at any time, sparking a massive tsunami bigger than the one that has destroyed the Fukushima nuclear power plant. And that's why I have shown you the map with the 9.2. Does that location look familiar if we look at the today's epicenter earthquake map? Same area. That's why we need to speak about this. And before we speak about today's quake, I want to tell you that the experts have told Japan to brace for an apocalyptic earthquake that could lay waste to 2 huge nuclear power plants again. We all have Fukushima in mind, how frightening that was, how it has impacted the whole world. The radioactivity was even measurable on the west coast of Canada and the US. Stuff has washed on shore from that devastating tsunami. So the government scientists of Japan, not just some rogue weirdo scientists or something, they have warned that the mega quake is feared to eclipse the 9.1 shake that has ended over 15,000 people and has wrecked the Fukushima power plant. And it could strike at any point within the next 30 years. That means tomorrow, in a month, in a year, in 5 years, of course, in 30 years, but within 30 years. So that's quite a short time frame. Tokyo's Earthquake Research Committee has calculated a 70% chance of a magnitude 8 to 8.6 earthquake that would strike Japan's eastern coastline within 3 decades. 70% within 30 years. That could be tomorrow, as I just said. That's high. That is very, very high, guys. And the likelihood of a 9.2 earthquake could be as high as 40%. That is also high. So the eastern part, that's why people are so worried when they see the earthquakes there. Is this a foreshock to something bigger? So that impending mega earthquake would trigger a massive tsunami off the coast of Hokkaido. Hokkaido, where the current earthquakes are taking place. It's home to the vast Tomari and Higashidori nuclear power plants. And unfortunately, these power plants are located on the coastline because you're using the seawater to cool their reactors. So this is a terrifying study. It's based on historical data which revealed that a massive earthquake already happened. It laid waste to Hokkaido's eastern coastline around 400 years ago. So we have precedent. So the initial study that was carried out by seismic experts at the Hokkaido University, they came to the conclusion that Japan's eastern coast is hit by massive tremors on a cycle that is lasting between 340 and 380 years. The analysis revealed the end of the current cycle had already been exceeded. That means the word overdue comes to mind. So that means to them, and this is them saying this, a tsunami triggering mega quake could be imminent. Boof. Science and Technology Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi has said, quote, "We're hoping this report will help local municipal governments to make necessary preparations and raise households' awareness of disaster risk." I mean, Japan is a master in earthquake preparedness, and yet still they suffer a lot. Because 9.2, that is a number, and then the following tsunami. Another seismic expert, Naoshi Hirata, added, I hope disaster preparations are reviewed based on the possibility that a super gigantic quake like the one that struck the Tohoku region could also strike Hokkaido. And now let's get to the recent ones. Is this something we should be worried about? Because when the Fukushima power plant was hit, huge amounts of radioactive material were exposed. When that plant was leveled, when a 9.1 earthquake triggered a 50-foot tsunami on March 11th, 2011. The plant's power supply was disabled during the catastrophe, which prevented the nuclear reactors from cooling. And that has caused one of them to stop working. And now in Hokkaido, we have two. I'll show them to you on the map where they are located. And then the location of the current quakes. Let's talk about that. Ring of fire again, guys. Magnitude 6 earthquake strikes off the coast of Hokkaido in Japan. And it's not an isolated one. We just had another one there. We'll get to this. So what is going on there? Hokkaido, interesting name. It's one of the northernmost of Japan's main islands. It's located within the Pacific Ring of Fire. The region is characterized by frequent earthquakes and volcanic activity because of its location. It's on the edge of multiple tectonic plates. And Hokkaido, like the rest of Japan, is experiencing the effects of this geological phenomenon, including the volcanic eruptions and the frequent earthquakes. But this one, it has, aside from being on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a very interesting location. So is this a precursor? Is it a foreshock? Is something more coming here? Because it has the potential for more to come. Where we have the location of the earthquake, Eastern Hokkaido sits at the junction of the Pacific plate that is subducting there beneath the Okhotsk microplate. So it's where the northeastern Japan arc meets the Kuril arc. And that creates a complex tectonic intersection. And this convergent activity fuels both frequent smaller earthquakes and occasional major ruptures as well. So the recent seismic activity, several earthquakes southeast of Nemuru in Hokkaido has drawn attention. First, a magnitude 5.9, now a magnitude 6.1. So is this just typical shaking, business as usual, or is it a sign of something bigger? So magnitude 5 to 6 events happen occasionally in this subduction zone. Most earthquakes are small and frequent. We have like small tremors, magnitude 3 to 4. They occur actually multiple times a week. That's not really comfortable, but that's the case. And a magnitude 6 plus earthquake is less common, but we could still say it's part of the region's somewhat normal seismic behavior, but this could also be a precursor. And the big question is now, is it a precursor? So the scientific consensus, and that's from the Japanese and the global seismologists, they're saying, well, basically they're always saying we know that we don't know, but they say you cannot reliably predict larger earthquakes from smaller ones. You only know afterwards, when you know, oh, now we had a 7 point something. Okay, the 6 point something was the precursor. Later, you're always smarter, that's the saying, right? So Japan's national program has probed countless potential precursors dating back since 1962. They have looked at strain changes, electromagnetic anomalies, radon emissions at gas, but no consistent markers have emerged that would tell them, is it a main shock? Is it the foreshock? Is it an aftershock? Aftershock is easier. So statistically, after a magnitude 6 something earthquake, there's a 5 to 10% chance of another magnitude 6 plus within a week. And maybe 20% for magnitude 5 plus aftershocks. But that's not a warning of an impending megaquake, so don't get me wrong. We can say this is still normal aftershock behavior. We've had quite a few megaquake events. In 1973, Nemuru Oki, magnitude 7.8 till 7.9, rumbling offshore the Nemuru Peninsula, created a 2 to 3 meter, 6 to 10 feet tsunami that has hit Hanazaki, the port there, and has heavily damaged a city of over 30,000 people. Then we had 1952 Tokachi Oki, magnitude 8.2. 1894 Nemuru Oki 7.4, 1843 Tokachi event magnitude 8.0. So each of these events has caused destructive tsunamis and coastal flooding. Archaeological evidence is present, so there's no doubt. You can see it from marshes that show tsunami deposits, and from these that I just mentioned, and even from older events. So could we see, because it's a subduction zone, a megaquake, a large megathrust earthquake in this specific region? Well, they appear every few decades or centuries rather than yearly, thankfully, right? The 1973 quake and the 1894, 1843 quakes suggest clusters with multiple ruptures in a century. And of course, it's like when we look at these coastal communities, Nemuru with over 30,000 residents, they have historically been inundated by these high waves, repeated losses of people, port infrastructure, fisheries. We see it in the low-lying marshlands. So from 1962 onward, the Japanese national program has invested heavily in detecting quake precursors, developing dense seismic crustal strain, water chemistry, and electromagnetic arrays. So their key conclusion is earthquake generation is unfortunately too variable. Diverse fault behaviors and geology make consistent precursor signals elusive. I hope that with the help of AI, this will soon change. So Japanese experts now emphasize probabilistic forecasting over deterministic prediction after a magnitude 6+ earthquake in a subduction zone. So definitely what they tell us, we should expect increased aftershock activity, but probably not a big one immediately. So that's kind of good news, although everything's possible. So I would say, so that the two that we just had within 2 days, 5.9 and 6.1, they are well within normal seismicity for the Kuril Hokkaido subduction system. They do increase, though, short time chances of similar sized aftershocks, but not because larger quakes are coming soon. So the tectonic region is very complex and very active. Large megathrust quakes like 7 or 8 or even higher, they occur every few decades to centuries, and they often produce these devastating tsunamis. But unfortunately, what we can say is decades of precursor research, extensive, has not yielded in any kind of reliable warning signs before major events. The only thing we can say for coastal residents or for tourists and visitors that go there, prepare for earthquakes and tsunamis. Be aware of your surrounding. Where is your escape route? How endangered are you where your hotel is or where you live? Have urgent emergency kits ready and stay informed. There's enough apps that can warn you of earthquakes, and always know if you're in Japan and there's a big earthquake. Always think of a tsunami. Get to higher ground right away. And I've just released a video that is kind of scary about Indonesia. They're very worried about another mega tsunami again because they have so many active volcanoes. And if a flank or if part of this volcano collapses into the sea, it can trigger devastating tsunamis. And it has so just in 2018, the Krakatau. Absolutely scary. So the fear is rising, especially after that monstrosity of an eruption that I've shown you at Levotobi Laki. Check out the video in the end screen, but there's more about landslides. It's crazy right now. Check the end screens, go to my video start page, look for recent videos, You'll see everything there. If you want to support the channel, it's greatly appreciated. Links are in the description of this video. Click the join button to become a supporting member for behind the scenes stuff. Buy me a coffee and you get a 30-second video message from me. If you leave me a question or a message, I will reply, of course, to that. And thanks for your supers. Thanks for your support, guys. You're absolutely awesome. So please stay safe. I see you again here, hopefully. Bye-bye.